The revelation that Donald Trump has purchased over $100 million in bonds since taking office has brought the issue of presidential conflicts of interest back into the public spotlight. Unlike his recent predecessors, who placed their assets in blind trusts, Trump has maintained control of his business empire, delegating management to his children. This has been a consistent source of criticism and debate since his first term. The new disclosures, while legal, add another layer to the controversy. While the bonds were reportedly selected by a third party, critics argue that the very existence of such a portfolio, containing debt from companies potentially impacted by his administration's policies, creates a perpetual appearance of a conflict of interest. The debate is now focused on whether the current ethics laws are sufficient to address a president's vast and interconnected financial holdings. The lack of a true blind trust and the continuous flow of information about his investments ensures that this issue will remain a key point of public scrutiny throughout his time in office. The main reason for Donald Trump's significant bond purchases is likely a strategic diversification of his financial portfolio. While his wealth has increased substantially, much of it is tied to volatile assets like cryptocurrency and his media ventures. Bonds, particularly those from highly rated corporations and municipal governments, are considered a safer, more stable investment. An analyst from Oxford Economics stated that the purchases appear to be a way for him to take a little bit of risk off the table. While the White House asserts that a third-party financial institution manages these transactions to comply with ethics laws, the purchases have reignited a broader debate about conflicts of interest. The reason for the controversy is that the bonds are from companies and sectors, including financial services and telecommunications, that could be directly affected by the policies of his own administration. This creates the appearance of a conflict, regardless of the legal compliance. The primary consequence of President Trump's extensive bond purchases is a heightened debate over presidential ethics and conflicts of interest. While the transactions may be legally compliant, the sheer volume and nature of the investments, which include bonds from companies and municipalities directly affected by federal policy, raise significant questions of the potential for personal financial gain to influence policy decisions. This is in direct contrast to the practice of modern presidents, who have historically placed their assets in a blind trust to avoid such appearances. The lack of a true blind trust could create a public perception that the president's decisions are not made solely in the public interest. For example, a decision on corporate regulations or federal spending on infrastructure could be viewed through the lens of how it affects the value of his personal portfolio. This dynamic undermines public trust in the presidency and the integrity of the government. Critics argue it sets a troubling precedent that could weaken democratic norms and institutions. Addressing the issue of presidential conflicts of interest requires a two-pronged solution: strengthening existing laws and restoring a commitment to ethical norms. The most common and widely supported proposal is for Congress to pass legislation that requires the president and vice president to place their assets in a true blind trust upon taking office. This would go beyond the current practice of delegation to family members and ensure that a truly independent trustee manages the president's portfolio without his knowledge. Additionally, ethics reform advocates propose amending federal conflict of interest statutes to explicitly cover the president, as they currently exempt the office. Another solution is to bolster disclosure requirements for high-level officials, including closely held businesses that are often exempt. These changes would not only prevent the appearance of a conflict, but would also provide greater transparency, helping to rebuild public trust in the integrity of the nation's highest office.